Deadly Premonition makes the unusual choice to have us start our criminal investigation by hallucinating wildly. I think that suits the Deadly Premonition brand quite well. One thing to remember here is that this is Zack retelling what he went through with York. So, if York notices a strange man in the lobby, that's Zack telling us that York noticed a strange man in the lobby. It's not what York actually saw. This is an important consideration given what we are actually being shown.
Perhaps we should talk to him.
I don't know anything about voodoo. I can't tell you whether this is appropriate or merely appropriated. But I can tell you a lot about people who portray voodoo in their video games and their movies, so let's have a little conversation about that. This game is centered very heavily on lurid old movies. It comes up constantly in every conversation. And one trope of lurid old movies is misportrayal of voodoo. I don't know anything about voodoo, and I can still tell you that it's misportrayed in those old movies. It's pretty clear to me that these authors are trying to re-portray voodoo, while adhering to the old standard of using it as a lurid interlude in their movie. They're explicitly casting voodoo as the hero rather than the villain. This voodoo priest, or ghost, is explicitly here to help us, and he's on the side of justice, at least momentarily, and they're trying very hard to make it clear that there was no voodoo involved in this murder. Sure, she was cut apart and put around an altar, but that's just black magic. It's got nothing to do with voodoo, and that's being made extremely clear in every conversation where it comes up. The other factor here is that this guy doesn't exist. We already know that York randomly hallucinates whatever will help him get through solving the crime, and if he's in the Deep South, he'll probably hallucinate something locally inspired. From our perspective, this Hungan is mostly here to be York's internal voice and guide him through things he doesn't quite understand, not to actually represent any local religions. Moreover, this is Zack telling us that York met a Hungan. There's a lot of layers of separation here, and it's interesting to think about how respectful or disrespectful this is relative to York and Zack, as well as relative to, say, Swery.
Nice tie. Did you buy it here?
It's been a long time since someone spoke to me. No one these days ever tries to see me.
They can see what's far in the distance, but are blind to what's in front of them. No. Maybe they're only pretending not to see. That's what civilized society does to people.
Exactly. Ever since mankind got their hands on civilization, they zoomed away at a frightening speed.
Zoomed away from what?
We'll talk about the animation later.
Don't be a fool. You know the answer. As for me, just call me Hungan.
Hungan. The title given to a leader in a certain religion. Is that what you are?
Do you comprehend the oracle?
The oracle? Put on your religion hat, Zack. Here we go.
One of the things that gives Deadly Premonition its unique flavor and density is how many times these hallucinations overlap. Here we have York telling one of his hallucinations to listen to another one of his hallucinations. This is great fun. It adds a tremendous amount of density to the story. It's not necessarily used as well as I'd like it to be used, we'll talk about that later, but it is definitely adding a certain flavor.
Fell 10 maidens in the shrine of hunger. Find the flying serpent in the ambiguous zero. Dance with the flying serpent, and you will glimpse the other world.
10 maidens and an ambiguous zero. Got it.
These are pretty trivial riddles, and that's even pointed out in-game. And that's kind of the point. As far as we know, this Hungan doesn't actually exist. He's a hallucination created by York's brain. So the riddles are only as difficult as York's brain struggles to figure out what to do. So if York's not struggling, the riddles are easy. Presumably, if York was having a rough time of it, the riddles would be very hard. I think that's fun.
But what do you mean by otherworld?
Follow the oracle.
Zach, did you hear all that? Looks like we've already taken our first step into chaos. But such is our duty. We need to accept the chaos, let it inside, then carefully dismantle it piece by piece.
If you were worried that I was making it up, now you know it's all canon. This is literally York trying to process the crime.
And after we've put all the pieces back into their rightful places, the truth will reveal itself. Let's capture the truth and present it with a shiny pair of silver bracelets, Zach.
But first we've got to recruit a sidekick. The sidekick we'll meet in the next episode is one of my favorites. She does more heavy lifting than just about any sidekick I've ever seen. The only sidekick that comes even close is probably Double H from Beyond Good and Evil. These are sidekicks that really know how to make the game move properly. I can't wait to talk about it.